Okay. Thanks for coming. A couple of weeks ago, the Canberra Raiders board met and we took a decision to approach Ricky to see whether he would agree to an extension of his contract. We took that decision because we believe he is simply the best person for the job. So on merit, we wanted to see Ricky extend if he would agree. I'm delighted to be able to announce that Ricky has agreed to an extension of his contract and he'll remain coach of the Canberra Raiders through to at least the end of the 2029 season, which takes us through to the end of this decade. Over the last 5 years, Ricky and his coaching team have led this club to 4 final series, including a grand final and a preliminary final. Ricky and his team have put together a great group of younger players. We have quite a young squad now, combined with some very experienced players. We believe Ricky is the right person to lead the club through over the next period, which we're very confident is going to see a lot of success. So Ricky, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you very much.
So Rick just announced Stuart has just announced your re-signing. You must be excited to go to lead this team for the next few seasons.
Yeah, Rosie, I was speaking to Dennis and Simon 2 weeks ago and having the support of the board. I was just so grateful of the opportunity to sit down and talk to Dennis and Simon about extending. It is a bright future, and it gives me great satisfaction that I'm going to have more time with a lot of the younger players that are coming through our squad, to see them through their early part of their NRL careers.
Yeah, exactly what you said. Like you've looked at a lot of the younger players now, so to be able to see through coaching them, must be excited.
Yeah, I am. As I say, I'm very grateful to be in this position. I'm honoured. I often say how privileged and honoured I am to be the head coach of this club, and it just gives me such confidence and appreciation of the support I've got from Dennis and his board, and I don't say that lightly. It's a big job. It's recruiting a roster to become a competitive roster, coaching to have a football team that's competitive is one thing, and it's our job now to make that competitive roster a roster that competes for the top 4, which eventually, you want to fight for to win a competition. Every coach is the same, every player is the same. We're no different here.
You touched on it, Rick, like 94 Premiership reunion this weekend. You had the taste of it in 2019 and a couple prelims in 2016 and 2020. But you want to go that next step, isn't it? That's what's got to drive you and the players to over this next period every year to get.
It's everyone's goal, and mate, I've been fortunate that I've done it as a coach. I'm fortunate I've done it as a player, and I can genuinely tell you that I've just walked out of a meeting with the players. It was a preview meeting for our game in 2 days' time, and I touched on the 94 reunion theme. And my ultimate goal is to change every one of my players' lives that I coach in regards to one day hoping we can get to win a grand final, because it changes your life. You're a premiership winning player. We're going up to see 15 of those boys on the weekend. They're premiership winning players, and their lives have changed through this club by winning a grand final in 94. And honestly, it is so hard to explain the feeling, but I'll witness it this week when we see all our mates again. I would love to be able to do that for a player here. That is my ultimate goal.
And I know you've said a couple of times this year that be patient with us, we're building sort of thing, but the things that you're seeing and you feel like the club and yourself putting in place is everything doing to get on that path to get there?
Well, the club's given me every opportunity to do it. Building a roster to be competitive is one thing. Building a roster to be competitive to make the top four is another. It's a very, very difficult component of the job, recruiting. I've got no doubt about our development. We've proven that we can develop players into Origin players, into Test players. We do that here. Recruiting marquee players is difficult, and it's something we will get right, and we'll get the right person.
How does, just to digress, like how does that change, do you think? Because it has been a tough slog for the Raiders over time to get that marquee players. You've got guys like Jamal coming.
It's not only for us, mate.
I know, yeah.
You
like,
can
you
see see what's happened this morning.
Yep.
It's not only the Canberra Raiders. It's overplayed too much in regards to marquee players here at the Raiders. We'll get the right person. You've got to understand, every marquee player that we have tried to recruit has stayed at his home club. So I don't see it as a loss. And you can see what's happened this morning with David Food. The same thing's happened again.
Walker just touched on, I guess, those young guys coming through. It's obviously early still for a lot of them, but how confident are you in this group you've got going forward now that this is the right group to taste that end goal?
You can never, honestly, you could never say. All you can do is make players better, turn players into NRL players, and we've done that here. We've turned players into NRL players, into Origin players. The one thing I'm very confident about is when you bring a young player into the community here in Canberra, when you bring them into our systems here at Canberra, they don't leave. So we've changed tack in regards to some of our recruitment strategy. We've looked at younger players, bringing them in earlier. You look at Chevy and Ethan Strange, there's two great examples. We've got another couple of young boys that we've signed, and we will announce over the next couple of weeks that we've got the same strategy for.
Do you get to see, I guess, how that has worked in the past with the likes of, I guess, Papa, Jack, Jared, not all from outside, but the way they grew up together, laid that foundation for you?
Yep, and that's been the core of our team. When I first got here, I said my job is to build us to be a competitive football team, a competitive football club. Our club is going gangbusters, and I know it's only last week sitting in a board meeting with Dennis. Dennis has challenged the whole club in regards to areas where we can improve. I've got to keep competing and challenging us to improve as a football team. But wherever we're competing to make semi-finals, wherever we're competing to be a top four football team, we've got as good a chance as any other team.
2 weeks seems like a very quick period to negotiate and everything. I know you must have jumped at that because you've said you have no intention to sort of coach anywhere else. This is where you want to be. Is that why it was an easy decision for you? Like, this is where you want to be?
Well, there was no decision to make. I was overwhelmed in regards to the meeting, and I did go away and speak to my wife about it, the kids. Mate, I was just, overwhelmed the fact that I got the trust and the support of these people.
I guess it brings back those feelings of talk about '94 of what the club means to you, isn't it? It's the premierships, the people, that sort of thing is why you love and why you want to get it back to where it was, basically.
Mate, there's not a coach out there that doesn't want to win a premiership. They just don't all say it because it puts too much pressure on them. I'm happy to put pressure on myself. I want to win a competition, and I want to win at this club.
Maybe we should just ask a couple of quick questions about this week's game, Magic Round as
That'll
well.
help.
The Bulldogs, what sort of challenge do they pose for you guys this week?
Yeah, they're a different team. They got some very high quality, high profile players that are playing actually very well now. Cameron Serraldo, who I know well, I've coached Cameron. He's a good young coach who's doing a good job at Canterbury, and they're going to be a very difficult team to play against. But like I say each week, we've got to make sure we're at our best. When we're at our best, we're a tough football team to play against, so that's our job.
I was going to say, did you get a lot of confidence out of that Manly game, just the grit and the way that the guys showed that doesn't matter how far they are back, they can fight their way back into a game?
Well, resilience and mental toughness, a lot of people read textbooks. To actually have it, you've got to be in the scenario, you've got to be in the scene, and these boys have been in the scene. These younger players have got so much out of that game against Manly in the second half. It shows me what type of resilience they got. They're not just reading it out of a textbook, they're actually executing it.
And sorry, just on 94 again.
Yep.
I was talking to George Gregan last night because Brumbies have 04. He said you sent him a message for his 50th birthday saying, how does it feel to be the second best halfback in Canberra for your entire life?
Did he tell you that?
He did tell me that, and he told me to tell you that how does it feel to be the second best halfback? But I mean, the city, you love this city, Ricky, and those are two great eras of footy teams, aren't they? That,
They are, mate.
the Raiders gave Canberra a soul, and the Brumbies backed it up 10 years, 20 years later.
Mate, that's both Brumbies and Raiders were just so fortunate of the quality and class of player that both teams had in that era. If you don't get many eras like that. And it was quite funny because I was asked to do a 50th birthday message for George, and I know he likes his red wine, so I got a glass of red wine. I sat there in front of the video and said, Georgie, I'd like to wish you all the best for your 50th, mate. It's something I've always been meaning to ask you. What is it like to be the second best halfback to come out of St Edmunds College? I never got a reply. So I didn't know if he was cranky with me or not. But
well, because we're running a poll at the moment, those two teams, who's the best, greatest Canberra footballer? Mal knocked you off in the Raiders semi-final, and Greg's knocked Steve Larkin off. So he wants you to know that now you're the second.
Good. To be quite honest, I should have never ever been ahead of Laurie and Brad. And there's other players that are better than me that should have been there. Maybe I'm just in the moment, but we were just so fortunate. The Canberra Raiders were so fortunate those days in regards to the quality of and the class of player. And the nicest thing about it all is we're also such great close mates, and that's what this club breeds. Players that don't come here don't understand what they're missing out on. I can tell you, it's a great club, and it's my job to keep it great, and I'll do everything I can.
Are you, I know you touched on 94 this morning with the guys, are you bringing anyone in,
No.
captain's run or just after?
No, we'll probably see a few of the boys up there. We definitely will see them after the game. They've been invited to come to dinner with us tomorrow night or hang around camp to say hello to the players. They're invited to training tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll run into a few of them. I think Brett Mullins and Jason Croker have been there since Monday, so I'm sure to see them.
Rapper back, we obviously saw
Yeah.
Elliott's experience against Manly. Like, how much does that bolster you again this week?
What it does, of course it bolsters us, but what it does is give the younger boys such confidence. Having two young halves as we got, having Jordan's voice behind them will be a great asset, because there's tense times where there's a lot of noise and a lot of fatigue. Just to have an experienced voice in behind to tell you we're playing left or right or a certain call gives the younger players such confidence. I've noticed that at training this week. We just got to now transition it.
You had to hold him back a bit to make sure he didn't rush
Jordan?
back in yet.
I've had to hold him back the week before. He was busting to play. Physically, it was not right for him to play. There was a semi-final or whatnot. We might have risked him, but Jordan's Jordan. He brings a lot of energy.